And
Oh,
we're
that was
live.
awesome.
That was perfect.
That was perfect.
And that'll actually seem like I started out right here.
Yeah. That's like the one time I was able to time it perfectly where like we all do it. You go to the automatic doors and you pretend you're a Jedi.
Oh, every time.
But I timed it perfectly once. Where I just right as my hand the doors open and I'm like, that's it. I did it. I did it. It wasn't a motion sensor. I did it. I used the Force, damn it.
That's what it was.
That's exactly what it was.
I tried that. Well,
Computer's not that precise. Oh no, I remember what I did. I actually moved my hand that time because it wasn't. Most of the time, I just go like that so that it, I can take credit for it. But this time, I literally just went like that, but it followed my hand.
Oh, perfectly.
Perfectly.
Because most times they're kind of.
Yeah, most of the time there's a delay, but I just went like, and as my hand moved, the door moved.
As the hand follows. So, how you been?
I'm exhausted, man.
Yeah, me too. My neck hurts. My back hurts. That's what happens when you get old.
Everything hurts.
My head hurts from the media. So I'll let you go ahead and get this little shindig started.
All right. So this actually started because I was watching YouTube,
Shocker.
as people do. And I came across this video, which it's actually a really cool channel. Cinema Therapy is what it's called. So it's a filmmaker and a therapist, and they sit down and they break down scenes from movies, and they have various topics. Like they have a really funny one on Twilight about abusive relationships, which I mean that's pretty obvious. They did another really good one on gaslighting and Tangled, which I was like, huh. Hadn't really thought about it. Like it makes sense, but anyway. So the first one of theirs I ever watched, they were talking about implicit bias and the movie Zootopia.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've actually you've told me to watch it. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Zootopia is amazing. But I didn't have a problem with their premise, but very quickly, like their opening statement. First of all, it's two white guys, and they acknowledge this. They say, we're going to talk about implicit bias, but we're picking Zootopia because we're two white guys. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing, and I appreciate it, because it's kind of difficult for two white men to talk about implicit bias. It's very difficult. So they say, we selected Zootopia because it's so outside of the norm of reality that we can explore these concepts without unintentionally, offending anyone or leaving anything out. So I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing. But then they proceed to contradict themselves, not intentionally, but it made me think, so I get what they're trying to do, but Disney, in the course of their own movie... Hold on.
Shut down.
Always does that. So, and I've seen Zootopia a couple times, and I love the movie. I think it's a great movie, especially if it makes you think. In fact, one of my favorite movie quotes is from that movie. For anybody who's seen it, after they do the press conference, Judy does the press conference and just fucks up royally. She's trying to explain herself, and then Nick's line is, "Oh, there's a them now," and I'm just like, "Oh, Disney, you did it again!" Like perfect. And Jason Bateman's delivery, as in the whole movie, is flawless. But anyway,
he's a funny guy.
Oh, I love Jason Bateman. I just love his deadpan. I'm a big fan of deadpan delivery anyway, and he's just totally perfect. Oh, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, yeah, totally, yeah. Speaking of which, I know I'm getting off topic, but did you watch Ozark? Speaking of Jason Bateman.
No, my wife watches it and she loves it.
So good.
That's what I've heard.
I loved Breaking Bad, and I've told almost everybody I know, if you liked Breaking Bad, you'll like Ozark.
Well,
it's similar, but Jason Bateman is.
Oh yeah, because he's a drug dealer in it. Well,
he's an accountant.
Yes, okay.
But he's a money launderer.
Sasha's my wife's told me something about that, so she liked it.
It's really good, especially the first season. Like it's good, but the first season's the best one, at least in my opinion. But okay, so anyway, where's I going with this? Okay. So, but it made me think, and I guess that's the point of this video, and I'm not knocking these guys because their channel's really good, and it's very entertaining, too.
What's the channel's name again?
Cinema Therapy.
Okay.
But it made me understand that...
On YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Disney, I saw what Disney was trying to do, and they're trying to point out things like, not even just racism, but things like bias and prejudice and, letting the past define the present. But then I realized something. Disney contradicts themselves in this movie, and they do it. I'm not going to say it was nefarious, but they do it in a way. They do it for the sake of some jokes in the movie, but by doing so, it kind of undermines their premise if you think about it for more than like a minute. Well, because most people see it's like, oh yeah, why can't we all just get along? It's like, well, it's not. Even in the absurd realm of Zootopia, it's not that simple. And the guys on YouTube actually pointed out one thing that I hadn't noticed, but now that they pointed it out, I really like and appreciate it. You'll notice a lot of times when you have movies that are anthropomorphized animals, they're all roughly the same size. Disney's Robin Hood, for example, the elephants are about the same size as Robin, who is a fox. Whereas in Zootopia, they keep the scale, for the most part,
Correct.
accurate.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not that easy for animators to, go back and forth.
Right, but they do a pretty good job. They do a pretty good job, even with some of the props. Like the first time we meet Nick, he's getting an ice cream thing at the elephant ice cream store so he can break it down and sell it individually. But it's a giant thing.
Right.
So the scale is right. And they point this out, and I'm like, okay, but there's an inherent problem right there. So let's assume we have a society where there are different sizes, like all sorts of different sizes. Well, how do you prevent bias in a society like that? And this is one of the scenes that Disney inadvertently contradicts themselves. So Zootopia, the fictional city of Zootopia, is supposed to be this place where all animals can live and interact together and be equal, roughly. Except there's Tiny Town. There's a chase scene through that miniaturized town where all the voles live. You can't get housing there. Like if you're bigger than your average rodent. And I know this is absurd, guys. Like, I know it's an absurd thing to point out.
It'll all come around.
Well, no, I'm pointing out Disney makes the initial premise in this movie that it's possible, not only possible, it's the ideal, and then it's all in the name. It's Zootopia. They mean utopia with animals, so Zootopia. It's a decent play on words, but it's if you watch Zootopia in and of itself, it shows you how no society is ever going to be perfect. We can strive for it, but you're never going to get rid of any sort of implicit bias, because what happens in Zootopia, the first time predator animals act violently, I mean, the civility all goes out the window. The media gets a hold of it, and I know they're poking fun at the mass media, which I appreciated, because even in the press conference, they're like, so predators are going savage? So are you afraid of that predator? No, he's my friend. Oh, so we can't even, we should be afraid of our friends now.
That sounds like Chris Wallace.
Yeah.
Did you have you seen the recent backfire that he's under? I can't remember the exact. I had it all out in my head, but then we talked about Zootopia. But
started talking about cartoons and all.
Yeah. Then everything goes out the window, and I'm just thinking about cartoons. I want to go watch cartoons now. No,
isn't that funny how that changes as you get older? Like everybody, not so much girls, but I know all guys go through this. They go through that weird age where it's like, oh, I like fucking cartoons.
Yeah,
cartoons
right.
Are fucking stupid.
You don't want to admit it, and then when you get older,
then you get to your 30s, you're like, oh yeah, I watched that. That was awesome.
Shit, you have kids, you just lay on the couch, and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna just watch this with them.
It's like, I'm watching it for my kids. And meanwhile, you're like, kids, come on, Disney came out with a new movie. Let's go. Dad, we don't want to see. Let's go.
No. But no, Chris Wallace had someone from the CDC on, and he was basically interviewing, whatever you want to call it, interviewing. Yeah, and he just the guy had a sign behind him that said, "Wear your mask." Help like this, and Chris Wallace is just trying to go in on Trump, and he's just like, well, I mean, we have this clip from back in April where it says that Trump was supposed to wear or said Trump didn't want to wear a mask, something like that.
Post-election?
This is like a few days ago.
Why are we still going after Trump?
Got me? Well, hold on.
I mean,
I'll get around there because yeah, I mean. I didn't know Chris Wallace was left until the freaking
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people I didn't know were left until
I'm
Trump.
like, I don't care what affiliation you are, but damn, y'all are trying to beat a dead horse. It's like the guy has essentially almost lost, but I mean,
well,
he's holding on.
According to the left, he has lost. So why are we still going after him?
Hold on, though. Let me correct you there. The electorates have not voted because there are active lawsuits. So therefore, President-elect Biden, which is not correct. He is still just our vice president, ex-vice president. What would you call him? Former vice president. I'm sorry. Anyway, so the thing is, he's not elect yet.
I know. I'm talking about the people on the left, though. They've all but.
Oh yeah, he's lost. Or I mean, yeah, Trump's out of there.
But here's the problem with the left, though. It's like, okay, you say Trump is lost. Why are you still going after him?
Because they're scared.
Exactly, but
they are running. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
And plus, I've just found over time the inherent nature of leftism in and of itself is contradicting ideologies. Like, we beat Trump, but we still have to go after him. Why? You beat him in their minds. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Because the thing is, I feel like it's their incessant need to always be doing something.
Yeah, well, I want to say this was Jordan Peterson. I can't remember. Oh, no, I think it was Ben Shapiro. And I'm sure other people have said this, but I heard it from Ben. The inherent problem with progressivism, or maybe it was Dave Rubin. Anyway, one of those three guys. The inherent problem with progressivism is that it's never ending. Because you reach a certain goal, then it's like, oh, well, by our very nature, we have to be fighting for something. So what's next? And it ties into identity politics and postmodernism. And
I almost feel bad for Joe Biden because if he gets in, because all the media, they're going to turn on him because he.
They won't turn on him. They'll
hold on. Him. Have you seen who he's appointing?
Not a single liberal person at all.
Mostly like Democratic. I want to say conservatives, but I would just say
as conservative as a Democrat, former Obama administration people, and a couple of Bushes.
So, and it's like it's funny because and a lot of the liberals are losing their minds because of this. So, as soon as if that actually transpires, and he comes to be our new president, help us. Which actually, I mean, I don't think
he's going to be our new president.
We'll see, dude, because I've got some stuff to tell you.
I would like to say, though, it's almost like someone said that that's exactly what would happen. Funny how that works. In fact, I believe there's an episode of our podcast called I Told You So.
And we told you so.
Where we said, if you think Biden's going to be putting liberals in positions of power, or not liberals, lefties, uber leftists in positions of power, think again. And I watched his cabinet selection thing live, and I was just, like, I eye rolled, but just because of how predictable it was. I mean, I don't like watching those things from any party because it's literally like a broadcast circle jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so masturbatory. It's like, look, it's the same reason I don't watch the Oscars or any other award show. It's like, if I wanted to watch people jerk off for 3 hours, I mean, there's porn. Like,
the only thing I've Oscars wise was Jack Black, John C. O'Reilly. Is that right?
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly.
Underrated actor.
Oh, love him. But John C. Reilly, Jack Black, and Will Ferrell all got on the Oscars in 2008, and they were singing.
Oh yeah,
it was great. I just watched it last night for the first time. I've never watched the Oscars.
The last Oscars I watched was when Seth MacFarlane hosted.
Oh, that was great.
It was, but that ruined it for me because I realized like Hollywood, they're gone.
Yeah,
they have no sense of humor anymore. Because there were some killer jokes, and they either didn't get them or like the Abraham Lincoln joke.
I don't
really. Oh, because he was introducing something about Lincoln, because that was the year Lincoln came out, and he was congratulating Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's like, although I think that the actor who most got inside Lincoln's head was John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, I remember that.
And I laughed my ass off, but the audience, like,
they were just like, ew.
Oh no, like there were audible groans and not like, oh, that's great. It was like, ooh. And he would just, like, Seth MacFarlane literally breaks his speech, goes, really, too soon?
Yeah.
Oh, then
that's like a old boy.
Ricky Gervais.
Oh God, that was amazing.
Was awesome.
he's such an underrated actor.
Now, see, I like the way he handled that though, because I get it. Seth MacFarlane kind of didn't dig into them enough, like as he should have. Ricky Gervais did the perfect response. I don't care.
I don't care.
Is that shut up? I don't care.
I probably won't be doing this again anyway.
Well,
did he know something?
He had to have.
Think about that though. He says I probably won't be doing this again.
Well, no,
a room full of crowded people.
I think that was more of a calling the shot. It's like, I'm gonna piss off too many people in Hollywood.
Right, but no.
But the beauty is he doesn't care.
No.
And I love it.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, whatever you want to call him,
entertainer. Because he's an all-around entertainer. He does stand-up. He's an actor. He doesn't
shy away from the truth.
And there's a lot of people like that, though.
Yeah, but a lot of them go unheard.
Unfortunately, Joe Rogan's one of those people. To a point, Joe's disappointed me a handful of times.
Yeah, because when he came out and said, "Oh, I'll vote for Bernie," and then I'll do this. He just talked to the guy and on what what he had a good conversation with the guy. So of course, I
will say I think that was really good for Bernie, and I think every presidential hopeful in every election cycle should be on something like the Joe Rogan podcast.
Well,
where they
the
can
Joe
talk.
Rogan podcast is the biggest one, I believe. So.
Oh yeah, but
that would be the perfect one to go to.
They need to be put on long form conversation because Tulsi Gabbard did well. Dan Crenshaw did pretty well. He and Joe disagreed on a couple things, but that's okay because it never came to blows.
Tulsi Gabbard's also Democrat,
and he had Andrew Yang on there. That was a great one.
He's got good ideas, Andrew Yang.
Yeah,
I think he has good ideas.
I barely call him a Democrat though.
Well, he's something else. I wouldn't even call him Republican. I wouldn't even call him Libertarian. I don't know what to call him.
To me personally, I think well, no, he's not quite Green Party either. A little bit left-leaning classical liberal, I would call Andrew Yang. A little bit of a lefty, but not to the point where he's going to die on a hill.
Right. But
although we talked about WWE last week, he's coming after WWE hard.
Really?
Oh yeah, Andrew Yang's a wrestling fan, by the way. Just
didn't know that.
I didn't either. I was like, Andrew Yang's a wrestling fan?
Well, I liked his stance on what do you call it? Basic income. Universal basic income. I didn't like it at first. I was like, oh, that's stupid. That's insane. And I'm like, all the government's wasting of money and expenditure and stuff like that, they could go in there and allocate. That's like we've said, all libertarians agree. It's not about your what is it? Your budget, it's your spending, or how
it's not about how much revenue you bring in, it's about how much you spend.
Yeah. So the thing is, cut your spending.
Which incidentally is the first order of business when personal finance people are helping people get out of financial troubles. It's like, okay, because it's easier to cut back expenses than it is to raise income most of the time.
Right.
Unless you're just being an absolute doofus. Like if you have an IQ of 300 and you're working at McDonald's.
Right. I just had an epiphany. Congress. You want to get rid of corrupt Congress members and get people out of Congress sooner?
Institute term limits?
Yes, but that's one. But another one, do not allow outside activity outside of that job to create revenue for themselves.
Well,
I know it's not part of our our structure, but the thing is though that those people, it's like they should be Well,
the problem with that though is especially if you institute term limits.
Well, that's the thing though. It's like how is Nancy Pelosi worth what she's worth, and how is the Clintons worth what they're worth? And
I
they
agree.
write a book, they go to a speech, and they get paid millions.
I think we can all agree that there's some dirty money there.
I'm not hating on that because the thing is, if there's money to be made,
they're not giving speeches.
No,
they're not giving speeches.
It's just silly, but
see, I have no problems with an elected official coming out of office and then getting a book deal. That's fine.
No, coming out of office.
True, but I mean.
Because these people were in office for all these years and making hand over fist because of their position.
Yeah,
it's like if they didn't have their position of power, they'd be unknown.
For the most part.
Goes to say for anyone.
And it's a really good point because people are asking why doesn't Nancy Pelosi run for president? It's like she doesn't want to take a pay cut. She doesn't want to give up power. She has more power than the president.
It is a pay cut. Because the thing is, any dirty dealings you're doing, you're scrutinized for everything, and you are under watchful eye 24/7. Exactly. Trump's even said that.
Absolutely a pay cut. It's also, again, it's a step down for her at this point.
Oh, yeah.
As Speaker of the House, I mean, she
wouldn't be able to afford her $37 pints of ice cream, or how much ever people said. They were worried about her fridges and her ice cream.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, anyway, so...
Well, but again, that's what you should be concerned about. Fuck the president. I really don't care who the president is.
No, because honestly, they don't make the laws.
The only reason I care about who the president is, for the most part, is what they'll do with certain government agencies, which there are way too many of anyway.
Yeah.
And basically foreign affairs, like the fact that the president is commander-in-chief, and we've clearly given him or her too much power because they can essentially start wars unofficially.
We just need to get that Space Force up and running completely.
You know what's
aliens
funny?
coming.
You know
dude.
What's funny? People were giving Trump shit for that, and I was like, and honestly, when I read the news, I was like, it's about fucking time.
Yeah, and they're just hating on it for the name. They're like, it's Star Wars. I'm like, are you dumb? It's space.
And there's a force in space.
Space Force.
Incidentally, the official Space Force logo is suspiciously similar to the logo from Starfleet.
Well, yeah.
Which, I mean, they had to. Come on.
I bet you they got special permission.
Well, it's different enough to where it wouldn't fall under... But, I mean, come on. As if the estate of Gene Roddenberry wouldn't, and Paramount wouldn't let them use the logo. Like, it's only a matter of time, guys.
Yeah.
The minute that sucker becomes public domain, that's the new Space Force logo, and we will call it Starfleet. That's probably the only reason. Like, once we actually have a fleet of spaceships, that's what we're going to call it.
And in 100 years, the next generation.
So, funny story. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm a fucking nerd. So, this whole... gender equality thing is not new, and this can be demonstrated. Star Trek: The Next Generation, which they premiered in the late 80s, I believe. Oh God, I want to say 1986. I could be wrong though. But anyway.
Well, gender equality, 50s, 60s. You know, when women were finally coming out and not.
Oh, but get this. A lot of people don't know this. Like, this is something that you probably might start seeing on TV like today. The first few episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation featured male crew members wearing skirts. Not all of them, but some of them. The theory was they basically thought, well, you know, in the 24th century? Yeah, the 24th century, you know, gender normative clothing would be a thing in the past, particularly in the military, but it didn't go over well with audiences. And I'd like to point out the impracticability, and this is a dig at the original series, I'd like to point out the impracticality of wearing something like a skirt on a spaceship that's prepared for war. I mean...
There's debris in my ass!
Well, not just that. Like, if you're hauling ass to your battle station, do you really want to have to be worried about your skirt riding up? It's like, wear pants. We're good.
Just saying.
Janeway rocked pants just fine. It's all good.
There's nothing wrong with pants.
There's nothing wrong with pants.
They are definitely
in
gender
fact,
neutral.
you would think if you wanted gender equality that you'd be like, okay, well, you know, pants present authority. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Patriarchy.
Yeah, I wear the pants in the family.
Well, Janeway wore the pants in Voyager, so don't be hating. Janeway's a woman, by the way, just for those who don't know.
So, getting back to
circling back to cartoons.
You can say media, but actually, I was going to tell you something. I almost forgot about it. Did you hear that Texas is suing Pennsylvania, as well as Michigan, as well as another state? I can't. I want to say Arizona, maybe.
Georgia.
Texas is. Oh yeah, Georgia.
They're just suing Georgia.
Texas is suing Georgia, Pennsylvania, and the other states I named.
All of them.
You know why? Because of mail-in voting. Because they believe it's not. And the thing is, the Supreme Court.
This is all unsolicited mail-in ballots.
Yes,
right?
and the thing is, the Supreme Court would not pick this up if it were to just be Texas against one state. But if it's against a couple, because the thing is, according to the Constitution or something like this, someone broke it down. His name's Tim Pool on YouTube. He did an excellent job. I can't remember which podcast, but it wasn't really a podcast. But so anyway, he was talking about it, and he says this could actually work and push them out, because Pennsylvania actually, in their state constitution, it goes against mail-in voting.
They changed.
No. They didn't change it at the constitutional level. They just pushed it through.
Well, the Constitution,
Republicans pushed it through.
Well, the U.S. Constitution.
State Constitution of Pennsylvania.
Well, right, but Texas can't sue Pennsylvania on the grounds of its own state constitution that's outside of their jurisdiction.
It's not their state constitution. It's ours. Like I said,
I know, but the federal constitution.
If I could do a better job of explaining this all to you, you'd be like,
you send me the video.
I will.
Well, because I know the federal constitution gives states the right to handle.
He's a lib, too. This guy, Tim Pool, he's a liberal.
He might claim to be.
He's a liberal. He was not like that because he even
classical liberal, sure.
Yeah,
but he's not a lefty.
Smarter liberals. I don't know what the hell he is. I think he's independent.
Well, yeah, he's independent. But the U.S. Constitution gives the individual states, the rights to handle elections however they see fit. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see how, because Tim Pool's a smart guy. If he thinks it might stick, there's a reason. I'd like to hear it.
And the funny thing is Texas doing that. It's because they had their shit done. Boom, then. But the thing is, what was it? I can't remember if it was last election or something like that. They had troubles. Texas did, and
in their election.
I can't remember. I don't think it was 2016. I just. From what I heard, that they're having elections because they were dealing with so and so voter fraud.
They were dealing with.
But the thing is, though, they figured it out, and then they were done, like the day.
Yeah.
After, so like November 4th. But it was. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now. Like I said, Pennsylvania right now they're trying to take it to the Supreme Court because and then Georgia. I mean, hell, their governor's Republican and he doesn't even care. He's just like, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Because the Republicans actually in Pennsylvania, like I said, signed on for mail-in voting, and it was like they didn't foresee the things that were going to come of it. They signed it because it was going to be easier on people.
Right, because of the pandemic.
Well, no, a lot of these states actually before the pandemic. Signed
that's true.
Mail-in voting, and it's like you can't see this. And
then, which again, I don't so much have a problem with mail-in voting. I have a problem with unsolicited mail-in voting.
Yeah, we need to differentiate between mail-in voting and absentee.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people talk about immigration.
Never say mail-in voting because you're going to confuse people. Just say absentee voting because thing is, I mean, it's the same fucking thing. It's just actually validified, you
have to request the ballot and you have to prove you are who you are. You have to be registered to vote, all that good stuff.
I'm sorry, but any place you go, you should have to show an ID. Any state that doesn't require an ID, those votes, dude.
I've not heard a very solid argument against that yet.
No, but some places, why should you have to?
Well, the best I've heard, honestly, is somebody saying, like, well, what about people who don't have ID? And I'm just like, you have 4 years to get one.
It's not that hard.
It's not. I mean, you can get a state ID. Because my favorite one is when people are like, well, what if you don't have a license? It's like, get an ID. I mean, it's not. It's really
free.
The one way you might have some trouble, and this is going to be especially true with certain minority communities, particularly certain people who might have a history, who like, let's say they were born in Mexico. Not so much anymore from what I understand, but again, it depends on where you were born. Record keeping kind of sucks. So having a legit birth certificate might not be doable. But, I mean, figure out which, like I said, you have 4 years to figure it out. So, it's not like it's impossible.
What do you mean 4 years? I don't know anything.
You have an election every 4 years.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
So if you know an election's coming up, I mean...
I thought you meant for a undocumented person to get.
Well, even for documented, it's just the record keeping sucks in some places.
Right.
Particularly if you were born out in the middle of nowhere. I mean,
no one knows except you and your family.
Well, exactly. Like you might be a few years old before you even have to leave the immediate area.
Right.
If you do at all.
No, I get you. That makes sense.
But I mean, that's as Ben Shapiro would say, you can't put a like very rare exception and base policy on it. It's because nothing's ever going to be perfect. Because if you just say you don't need IDs, well, then you're going to have elections like they did back in the old days, where you would go vote, shave your beard, and then go vote again. That's legit. That happened. That used to happen all the time. Way back when.
All right, so I'm going to bring something up. It is not completely sure if it's true, but I actually just recently found a video, and like I said, take it with a grain of salt, because that's what you should do with anything you hear.
This is Alex Jones.
I'm a little retarded.
I'm about to be a little retarded.
I got to admit, I'm a little retarded. I don't see why everyone hates on him, dude. He's entertaining.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Oh, and another guy. Well, he's not really political or anything, but I just watched the. It was 2 months ago or 3 months ago. The Joe Rogan and Ron White podcast.
Oh God, that one's so funny.
I fucking love Ron White.
Now, is this the newest one? Because he'd been on before.
It was Yeah, it was new. It was 2-3 months ago, because the one he had was a couple years ago.
That's the one I watched when it was. Yeah. I think it was a day old. That was surprisingly good. I didn't know Ron White lived in Mexico for a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shocked me. They made pots down there. Not pots, pots.
Yeah.
Pottery.
I remember that joke. That was funny. He's like, I didn't make pot.
Would have loved to. That was right before the Blue Collar Comedy Tour took off, he said.
I remember when he was talking about that, because, well, actually, that was the most recent one I just listened to. He was talking about the Blue Collar Comedy Tour and saying that he wasn't really famous before that.
Right.
And then once that hit, it was huge. And then, yeah, he was big.
Well, that shot,
he said
basically everybody but Foxworthy, like, they were around, but they weren't.
Right. Yeah, Foxworthy was already big, though.
Yeah, he was. Well, that's the whole reason the Blue Collar Comedy Tour worked, is because they had his name on it, and then people realized, hell, Bill Engvall's hilarious. Ron White's hilarious. Larry the Cable Guy, eh.
Bill Engvall is funny. I don't know, man. Just
it's a particular brand.
Yeah, I can't find.
I like dad jokes, so.
No, well, he's. Oh my gosh, man! When he was talking, when Bill Engvall was talking on, I think it was Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and he was saying, "Yeah, I was teaching my daughter how to drive, and I was, slamming on the imaginary brake, and the neighbor said, 'What song were you listening to?' And he's like, 'What song?' She goes, 'Oh, you drive by?' I heard it was dum 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 dum." He goes, "That was me smashing on the imaginary brake."
See, I love that.
And
it's not funny, but I love it.
Oh, that's hilarious, man, because I can see that, because that's real life,
Yeah. Thank you. That's the best way to describe Bill Engvall's comedy style. Is it's
legit, probably about his real life.
He points out how funny real life can be.
Yeah, or when he's talking about getting into nasty pig sex with his wife, and I can't remember what it was, and he's like, "That turn you on?" I love their accents, man. Like, sometimes I wish I had one. I can fake one, but it's just not the same.
Ain't that hard.
Ain't that hard.
See, you can throw on like a nice southern drawl, like from the deep south, like Alabama.
Nah, we're going even further, son of a bitch.
Then you can go down to the bayou. You can go down to the bayou, get you some Cajun accent back there, down there with the Skeeter Hawks and everything.
They're gonna get some dust in the baggie, methamphetamines.
Most common one around here is like that northern Kentucky accent, not quite the little Appalachia as you go down further, but it's got
Appalachia.
That. Because a lot of people around here think they're from Kentucky. Their family might have been from Kentucky, so they kind of sound like this. Talk a little bit faster. Say "hun" a lot.
Honey.
And we've pissed off every viewer south of the Mason-Dixon line.
All two of you.
All two of you.
We had 3. Just saying.
No, pissed him off.
He must have been from Kentucky.
Oh. I see text.
Bree Clark. That's how Edgar Allan Poe died.
How did Edgar Allan Poe die?
In Kentucky? We do have a tad delay, so if you have a question...
please reference.
Yeah, reference whatever you're talking about, because we talk about too much stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about Zootopia.
And then I said something, and then now we're here.
So let's get back to it. So the basic premise of Zootopia is essentially it's an anti-racist film. Yet they make so many racist jokes. Granted, they're at the expense of animals. But so we're talking about how you can't make stereotypes based in this movie. It's based on species, and they're doing all this. Like they spend the opening meet cute between Nick and Judy is all about how Nick is a fox and he's stereotyped as a fox, and how that's wrong, and how Judy stereotyped him and that was wrong of her. She profiled him. And then...
Now it's wrong.
Well, it was wrong. But then they do the DMV joke, which I admit was hilarious. But they walk into the DMV and all the DMV employees are sloths. Which is hilarious.
Because it's...
But for a movie about stereotyping and how it's wrong, it's kind of like... Now I get it. It's a good joke. It's a hilarious joke. But they're sacrificing their message for the sake of a joke, which is okay. But don't get high and mighty. Like, it's a movie. It's supposed to be fun. And the point is correct. But, I don't know. I'm glad that joke was in there because that was hilarious. But you see my point. It's like, stereotyping is wrong. But all sloths are slow as shit. Which is true, but... and then there was another really good point I gotta remember that I thought of. Well, because of course after that I watched that video, I went and rewatched Zootopia, and like with a magnifying glass, I'm like, that's racist, that's racist, that's racist, that's racist.
Like, son of a bitch. She responded. She said, from the voter fraud. That's how Edgar Allan Poe died? From voter fraud?
I feel like there's a joke there that I don't get.
Possibly. Text has no context.
Or does it?
Well, it has context.
It just has text.
It has no.
No, emotion. I feel like I've heard. Like, I feel like that's a reference to something.
Text has no context.
But context has text.
Son of a bitch.
Maybe, unless it's spoken.
That's very deep. You should write that down.
No, I feel like that's from a. I feel like that's a reference to something, because it's like, that's how Edgar Allan Poe died. Like, I feel like that's a line from something. I just don't remember what it is.
No way it's from Idiocracy.
Probably.
Yeah, no, right.
Speaking of which, if you haven't seen Idiocracy, you should watch it. It's now a cautionary tale. It used to be a comedy.
Yeah.
And now it's cautionary tale.
You know, there was actually not Idiocracy 2, but maybe like small little snippets, but it was showing how people came to be that dumb, and it was because smart people stopped procreating because they're like, it's not the right time to have a kid. It's not the right time to have a kid.
You know what? There's some truth to that.
Yeah, because honestly, like, smarter people don't have kids until either late in life, or they just don't have them.
Fewer. Or they don't have them at all.
Yeah. I mean, I was 28 before I started having kids because I was like, I'm young and dumb and I want to just run around and have fun.
And I'm 33.
That's okay. Well, I'm not 28. I am 29. He's old. I'm just kidding.
That makes no sense. We're the same age.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Definitely 29.
Oh, because we weren't in the exact same grades unless you were held back 3 times.
She said there is no joke. That's why they believe he was murdered. Due to voter fraud?
Oh, I'm going to need details on that.
Did Edgar Allan Poe ever hold office or anything?
No. Not that I'm aware of. I'm going to research that.
Maybe it was something he published.
That seems super interesting.
Well, yeah.
I will come back to that.
He was a very, very odd fellow.
Yeah, I still, like...
He was extremely sad.
So you want to know how you can tell if somebody's a real Edgar Allan Poe fan? You ask them what their favorite, work of his is, and if they say The Raven, they're full of shit.
Oh, they're not a fan. That's
the only one they know. Like, don't get me wrong, The Raven's good. Telltale Heart is better.
See, I'm not a fan. I don't know.
Oh, the Telltale Heart.
I've probably heard it, and I've probably read it.
Actually, I think we had to read it in school.
I believe so. That's why I said I just don't remember it because it was just something to me. I just was not quite interested in it at the time, and then I got older and slowly became interested in stuff. But
yeah. Oh, the Telltale Heart is it's a good one. It's my favorite of Poe's. I think it's technically considered a short story. It's not a poem.
He's a Poe boy.
He's a Poe boy.
Anyway, so let's get back on topic.
Right. So anyway,
media.
So then this whole Zootopia thing made me start thinking, and I mentioned before about how I had an issue with Disney in their pandering moments, i.e., the shot of LeFou dancing with a guy, and that was supposed to show like this immense like support to the gay community. Or the random lesbian kiss that was shown for like a split second in the end of a Star Wars movie. And what kills me?
I haven't seen any of the new Star Wars films.
They're garbage. I saw
the first one.
They're garbage. But it was at the end of... I want to say... I can't remember if it was at the end of the... No, I think it was at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. Like, everybody celebrating, oh, we beat the Empire again.
Woo!
Funny how it has less impact the third time.
Yeah, right.
Because they did it twice. They did it in A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. And then this time. Well, I guess fourth time, because they took out Starkiller Base and Force Awakens.
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Not a big Star Wars fan.
Especially not with the new ones. Anyhow, they sure as shit lost in Rogue One.
Did you see that big ass spider that
I did.
Before?
Yep, we both kind of like.
It's not a big spider, but he's awfully big. All right, she's got a long comment. I'm gonna read it.
All right, read that shit.
It says,
swivel the old mic over.
He was found beaten to death. They never found exactly why, but it was during an election of some kind, and they believe that a political gang
that would have been very common for the time. Yeah.
Liquored him up and took him around to different polls.
Oh, I touched on that. That wasn't uncommon either. You just get dudes, or you intimidate them and you take them to multiple polling locations and say, "Yes, I live in this district." We all do.
Damn.
There's actually a really good scene in the movie Gangs of New York that shows this.
Never seen that.
Oh, it's so good.
I've heard about it.
So funny story. I always talk about that movie for a lot of things, but particularly they should have gotten an Oscar for sound design.
Oh, was it really good?
Particularly the opening fight sequence, because a lot of times in movies the fight sound effects are like really fake and don't like. Oh, this movie will make you sick. Because like when the butcher stabs somebody or cleaves somebody, like it sounds like I think they recorded it actually going into like pig meat, because like it's nasty, and like he cleaves this one dude and like it's more of a thud, it's not a slice, which is what it would sound like. Like if you've ever cleaved anything, you know it's not like shlink, it's like
yeah,
it's sickening, but it's like just got a little bit of liquid sound. It's gross, man.
I can hear it. Your description, I can hear it.
Yeah, watch that movie. It's so good. It's long, but it's good.
Gangs of New York. Leo's in that movie, right?
Yep. One of his underrated roles. He does a very good job in it.
I can't get over Wolf of Wall Street. That's my favorite. That's my favorite film. I could watch that thing like every other. I can't do it, but
I guess that was improvised.
Yeah, and he went for
it.
Matthew McConaughey is a great actor.
I use that line of his in so many things. Like, gotta get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. It's such a quotable movie too.
Oh gosh, could you watch it every week?
Yeah, I could. Probably.
But every day.
Not every day, but probably.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did. I was wondering if you was gonna set up for that.
Come on, man. I'll throw in the assist.
Oh snap, that was good. Anyway.
Yeah, come to think of it, Wolf of Wall Street's get kind of perfectly set up in the very beginning. He was like, no, my Ferrari was white.
Oh, gosh. And, yeah, she's blowing me right there. That movie, man, it made me want to be go to New York and
I
be
watched
a
hilarious video that Jordan Belfort did. It was like a recording of one of his talks. And he's talking about how he had to go, like, through this questionnaire for his health insurance. And he's like, I couldn't believe this lady had, like, I'm not that egotistical, but, like, this lady had no clue who I was. And it just seemed odd to me. And she was like, have you ever taken any illegal drugs? And he was like, have I ever? What have I not taken? And she's like, and after I list everything that I've ever taken, she's like, do you drink? And he's just like, what the fuck?
What the hell do you expect, lady?
He's like, what do you think I washed it down with, lady?
Man, that scene where they the old, what were those drugs they liked?
Quaaludes.
The old Quaaludes where it took forever for them to kick in, and they hit Cerut. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it on phase. Here. Yeah.
Hey, they said it in the movie.
Hit that phase, and that was just so funny. He was like, "Get off the phone." That was so good. Dude, we should do some movie reviews.
We should. That would be fun.
You know what we should do? Black out ourselves and sit in front of a movie theater, just like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I missed that show.
Yeah, it was good. I tried. They tried to bring it back.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
It didn't work. They've tried to do that with a lot of shows. They tried to do that with Beavis and Butthead, which actually I heard Beavis and Butthead's getting a new reboot again.
I heard that.
This is completely off.
And Animaniacs got a reboot too.
Well, I heard this is pretty much.
I heard it's good. I haven't watched it, but I heard it's good.
I don't care.
Big Mouth's better. Sorry.
I've never seen that.
Oh, Big Mouth is one of those shows where, like, I'll be honest, sometimes I feel bad watching it because I'm like, this is wrong. It's funny.
I almost feel like I'm like, when do you have time to watch TV? Because I feel like you're always like doing stuff and
here and there, busy. Like sporadically. Like I can't sit down and like binge a show. Like
I can't either because if I try to watch something, my kids are.
Like I just started The Mandalorian.
I heard that's very good.
It's very good.
Yeah,
it's very good.
The child.
Yeah. I still call him Baby Yoda. I don't give a fuck. I guess they have names now. Or I guess maybe the child doesn't, but anyway. But yeah. So what were we... Oh, so I was giving Disney some shit. And then I thought to myself...
A fuck Disney.
Well, and then this latest travesty with Mulan, which I haven't seen yet, but I don't feel like I need to. Apparently it was garbage, the remake, not the original.
Yeah, apparently one of my buddies did a review on the movie, and he said it was full of... activism.
Well, they did what I didn't say this on the podcast. This is before the podcast, but when I heard they were making a live action Mulan, I was like, I really hope they don't fuck it up, but they're probably going to, and they're probably going to turn Mulan into a Mary Sue. And what did they do? They turned Mulan into a Mary Sue. They made her the Superman of ancient China. Except she didn't have any kryptonite.
Except she was a samurai, not a super person. I don't.
Oh no, she had chi, man. I shit you not. That was the source of... Nope. That was the source of her power. Her chi is strong.
She had nothing in the cartoon.
I know. And imagine that made her relatable. It's as though none of these people went to school for writing and basic character development.
Or just watch the original and be like, let's kind of be close to this.
Let's do that, but shoot real people doing it.
That's like Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah...
I mean,
I don't understand how you can take something like Dragon Ball Evolution is unforgivable.
I didn't hate that movie.
Oh,
Listen,
I did. It was terrible.
If you just out of your mind, just forget everything. I'm talking. You never watched Dragon Ball Z. You never watched Dragon Ball anything. You just get it out of your mind. It's an enjoyable movie.
No, it's not.
If
Giku,
where did they say that?
It's the scene where he goes to Chi-Chi's party. Or no, they call him Giku a couple of times.
Well, yeah, because they're calling him Geek.
Yeah, I know, but it's still dumb. It's funny. DBZ Abridged pokes fun at that though. Yeah. In season 1, when Vegeta and Goku are fighting, and he gets hit really hard, and he's like, "I remember that time I went to that party at Chi-Chi's house, and everybody called me Giku." He's like, "Wait, when did that happen? I must have gotten hit harder than I thought."
Oh my gosh.
And okay, so we're talking about Dragon Ball Evolution, and ironically, it does kind of tie into what we're talking about here. So that's an occurrence of where race should have played more of a role, but inexplicably didn't. Because how the fuck did this whiter than white kid have an old Chinese grandpa? It's like, where are these kids? Like, what the fuck?
Well, you got to think Grandpa Gohan actually was, he was... Would you consider Grandpa Gohan Chinese or whatever, or Japanese or whatever he was?
Well, not in the context of that universe, but Dragon Ball is modeled after Journey to the West, which took place in China, and there's a lot of a lot of Chinese imagery.
Goku was modeled after Americans because of most anime characters because of their big eyes,
Not so much Americans. It was just the art style.
I would say Westerners.
No, actually, that has more to do with the ability to show emotion. Large eyes enables you to show emotion more.
That's true.
Well, no, I have an awesome book called Anime Explosion that goes into like a lot of different things. But it goes over like how that art style came to be. Osamu Tezuka was the first one to really high profile use that large eyed, and his, again, with Astro Boy, his wasn't so much to model after Westerners as it was he wanted to be able to show emotion on the page, and large eyes made that easier to do.
That makes sense.
Particularly since Astro Boy was first run in newspaper, so it's smaller than your average comic book, so that became paramount. And then the style just became popular and it stuck. Yeah, because Goku was actually modeled after Sun Wukong. I mean, it's almost a... It's not a rip-off. King. Yeah.
Yeah, which, what was that one movie? It wasn't... It was modeled after Journey to the West as well.
There's been a lot.
It was really good, though. It had Jackie Chan in it.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember what it was called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then the Monkey King was it Jet Li or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
It was good, though.
I think that was Journey to the West. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah, because Jackie Chan was the drunken master or whatever, or drunken. He was a drunkard. I don't know what the hell he was. That was a good movie, but... The Monkey King was, I mean, like I said, they modeled him or Goku after him, which is kind of weird. But then, now Goku has no tail.
So wait, what happened to the Olympics? Did they get postponed?
What?
The Tokyo Olympics?
Well, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine too.
Everybody's afraid of getting a cough.
Which is a drag because Goku's the mascot for the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo.
Oh, of course. We get fucked out of our shit.
Yeah, we just can't have anything, can we? Speaking of which, did you see a couple years ago Goku was in the Macy's Day Parade? Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
I saw that.
That was like me flipping off everyone that ever made fun of me for being a fan of Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Speaking of our buddy Craig,
yeah,
remember?
Fucking Jersey Shore doesn't have a float in the Macy's Day Parade.
Hey, don't hate on that show.
I will hate on that show all day long.
I liked it. It was so stupid. Like literally, you lost a brain cell every time you watched it. You talked about Zootopia, but have we actually got into any pandering besides that? Okay.
Oh, I'm getting so.
Okay.
I'll circle back. So I was talking about, and then it happened a lot in the. So the live action Beauty and the Beast remake was a lot of feminist pandering, but not in a productive way. Because I think we can all agree Belle was plenty feminist in the first one without being. That she was a true feminist, I think, in the first movie, in the original, the animated one, because it was less about like girl power and more about like, well, I should have the right to decide my own shit, which I don't think anybody in 2020 really disagrees with.
No.
But in 19th or 18th century France, probably would have been. I mean, she would have been a radical at that point, but
yeah, and locked away.
Like she was. Anyway. So it's funny, I will tie this together. But speaking of the live action remake of Beauty and the Beast, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, so they threw my issue with what they did in Beauty and the Beast has Beauty and the Beast, the live action remake. Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast.
Hootie and the Blowfish. I only want to be with you. Best joke in Ted, not best joke, but one of the best jokes in Teddy. He's like, yeah, you can sing any song in the 90s with just vowels. A-E-I-O-U.
Yeah.
Singing karaoke.
That's no shit.
So anyway, live action Beauty and the Beast. My issue with that bit at the end where LeFou's dancing with a guy, and first of all, they just like, oh, LeFou's gay. It's like, well, last time, I mean, he's dancing with a dude. It's not like he's Frenching in the corner and they're like belt looping. Like he's dancing with the guy. I mean, a single dance does not make a gentleman gay. Although, in this case, I think that's what they were going for. But anyway. So then I started thinking, it was like, okay. Actually, LeFou being gay as a character makes a lot of sense. And it could even add to his character. So let's think about this for a second. I don't remember, but Beauty and the Beast, I think, is set in 18th century France. I believe.
I would say
18th or 19th century, probably 18th, I think, judging by the fact that Gaston has a blunderbuss. It's the gun with the anyway. So let's think about this. Let's dive into this for a second. LeFou, as a character, always hanging around Gaston. Gaston is like the town bachelor. He's the man. So upon initial viewing, and in the animated version, LeFou is seen like kind of pining after the girls in the background. But let's think for a minute. Let's say Disney really wanted to give some representation to the gay community. Well, okay, just make LeFou gay, but don't like do a passing glance, like make it part of his character. Let's think about this. He's always hanging around Gaston. Why is that? There's a couple reasons. One, I mean, let's go with the stereotypical, oh, he's gay and has a crush on him. I think there's a bit more to it than that.
Or it's just his buddy.
Well, probably his buddy, but let's also consider this. Gaston is most likely a veteran of the 100 Years' War.
Yeah.
More than likely. That's why I say the timeline is probably 18th century France, which would fit right in. He's probably a veteran. But pre-American Revolution. So either way, even if it was in 17th century France, he's still probably a veteran. LeFou's probably also a veteran. They probably are military buddies. And maybe Gaston saved his life or something like that. But I just think that, because let's say, like, for the sake of Disney wanted to make a character gay, but not be a laughingstock. Because let's be real, LeFou in the original movie was just a comic relief.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah. So, but let's say, okay, we want to keep the integrity of the character, but we want to add some depth to his character, and we want him to be gay. How do we do that? Okay, well, you make him gay, but then you have to explain kind of why he's always hanging around Gaston. Otherwise, people are going to be like, oh, he has a crush on Gaston. It's like, no. I mean, maybe he does, but he knows Gaston's not gay. So in his mind, what's the next best thing? You know, it's like, oh, make sure Gaston's happy and make sure somebody's looking out for him. Like, you could have easily incorporated that into his character, but no, instead you chose to just give him a 2-second dance spot at the end and be like, look at us, we love gay people.
Yeah, that's not pandering or anything.
That's not pandering at all.
No.
And I mean, let's be real. It's been done. You can have very compelling stories that have characters that just happen to be gay. The movie Philadelphia, the movie Brokeback Mountain, various characters in the show Glee. Although some of that is pandering, which is ironic because the show creators are like, on the Kinsey scale, they're like 6s. You know, I mean, but there's still a lot of pandering in that show. But most of it is pretty, I don't want to say realistic, but I mean, it's not a like one-dimensional portrayal. Like, they're people. They just happen to like dudes. Or they just happen to like, depending on their...
Yeah, it's like, I don't give a shit.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But if it can make a character even better... Like, there's some characters on The Walking Dead, and it's like, oh. Like, when they found out Jesus was gay, I was like...
Well, I mean, I think in a previous podcast, we were talking about The Walking Dead, and Daryl was initially meant to be prison gay.
Correct, yeah. We did talk about that.
The
Norman Reedus is like, I don't want to be gay.
No, Norman Reedus was all for it.
Yeah, actually, that could have been interesting.
But the director or whoever, the writers, they said, we changed our mind.
Yeah, because we got so many women that have crushes on Daryl Dixon.
Yeah, so he's like, you need to be our greasy, nasty guy that everyone likes.
He's the grease monkey.
He is.
He's the mechanic. He's
he's a mechanic, but
he's the mechanic. I mean, he's the mechanic. You know what I mean? Like,
oh,
he's not literally a mechanic. He's the dirty one. He's a
dirty one.
He's the dirty one with the heart of gold.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't talk to me about this and that. You're a piece of shit. And then he fights people. You know, he's like, no, I'm not nice. Are you okay? I love Daryl Dixon though.
Who doesn't?
That sounded extremely progressive. Just kidding. We're not going to use the G word
That's what we'll call it now.
You're very progressive.
That's so going to be a running joke from now on.
Oh, shit.
That's very progressive of you.
You're welcome.
I'd also like to speaking of progressive, I'd also like to point out that they gave a main character in a Star Wars movie pink fucking hair for no reason. In The Last Jedi, the fucking lieutenant, whatever her name was, she's got pink hair for some reason.
Was she black?
No.
What I feel like?
Leia's second in command.
I don't know. I ain't seen it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said you haven't seen The Last Jedi.
I watched the first one, or not the first one.
The fourth of the new trilogy.
The sixth one? 6, 7, 8? Is that right? 1, 2,
that
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I watched the seventh one.
Oh, what'd you think of that?
My brain power. I liked it, except for like some of the pandering.
Oh, it gets worse.
Yeah, it was actually, it had a good start until he fucking killed Han Solo, and I was over it. Spoiler alert. I mean, too soon. No.
Wait, he kills Han?
Yeah, but I was just like, dude, you can't kill fucking Harrison Ford. You can't kill Indiana Jones. I just rewatched.
It's okay. He comes back in 9.
Oh.
Not literally, but in a dream sequence.
Oh, okay.
Well, because that pissed me off because I heard
another Indiana Jones movie. Fucking Star Wars.
I don't know. Crystal Skull was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I didn't hate it just because it was continuance. That was like
when
GT came out. I didn't hate it because it was in continuance.
There are good things about it, just like there are good things about.
The Dragon series was amazing. I loved it, but
really? Most people hate it.
I don't get it. That was my favorite because that was when Super Saiyan 4 came.
No, Super Saiyan 4 came with the Baby Saga.
Was it before?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the dragons fucking completely decimated a new fucking thing again. I've been watching Dragon Ball Heroes. I'm
so behind.
Get into it.
I'm so behind.
There's a new season. There's 2 new seasons.
I know, and I'm so behind.
I only watched the first one.
It's awesome.
It is pretty good.
I just want Super back. Damn it.
I know, dude. I don't care for these stupid side stories because they're not going to tie in. I mean, they can try.
I mean, they're fun.
They're fun. Like I said, they're continuances.
Yeah,
it's nice.
They're fun. But
they're different timelines. You know, because even Toriyama has said that before. They're like, how do you fit Dragon Ball GT into Super? He goes, it's a great story. He goes,
multiverse theory is the greatest thing to ever happen to.
Well, he said it's a different timeline, and I was like, I'm pretty sure he was going with what you're saying.
That's what they're
multiverse. You know, but the thing is, though, if you think about multiverse, there are 12 universes. Was that right, or were there 16?
There were 16. There are now 12.
Yeah, but 17 wished back all the.
Yeah, I know. That's where they're thinking. That's why they think.
That's what happened. That's. I haven't looked in any of the new mangas, but that's how they said.
I was going to say that's how they're proposing that Moro came.
Yeah, and he's a really interesting character.
Although of course, leave it to Toriyama to fuck up multiverse theory.
Oh yeah, easily.
Because it's like there's more than 12. There's an infinite number of universes and an infinite number of possibilities. But he's like, no, I like 12.
Yeah. Well, do you have any concluding remarks or anything like that?
I just feel like we're really
passing an hour.
Yeah, I feel like we really fucked that one up because we've
not really because I mean, there's all you could talk about the media for days.
Well, I guess just my closing statement is like, okay, so here's my beef. Don't let Disney or any of these other people, whether it be for the gay community or for people of color or anything, any minority group representation, what have you, don't let them get away with that shit. Because it's like they're just pandering to you, but they're not really doing anything meaningful. None of those scenes changed anything core in the story or the characterizations. LeFou's still an idiot. He just happens to be a gay idiot, but you didn't know he was a gay idiot until the very end of the movie. You know, and then the lesbian kiss thing is just like, who cares? First of all, who cares? It's fucking 2020. Like, girls kissing each other is not.
But the only thing is, if it's not like in the original, and they're making an adaptation, and I understand they're bringing it to this time, but it's like, but why does that matter? Why does that have to be in a kids movie? Because essentially this is a kids movie,
right?
You should leave sexuality out of it, and but the thing is, at the end of the day, I mean, you've got a man and a woman, you know, coming together, you know.
Well, the easy counter to that is like, well, Luke and Leia kissed in Empire.
Well, that's not necessarily a kids Disney. I mean, yeah, it's a Disney film, but
it wasn't at the time.
I mean, at the time, but you know what I mean. It's now owned by Disney, but that's a movie targeted towards children. Not Star Wars, Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay. I was talking about Star Wars.
It's like a lot of these older cartoons were targeted towards children, and they had, you know, adult jokes and whatnot. So
yeah, but I don't mind that because I'll be honest.
You know why? Because they had parents going with them to theaters, and they wanted honestly, them to enjoy it too.
I've rewatched so many old movies, and I'm like, I did not remember that joke because it flies right over your head.
Oh yeah,
when you're a kid. So Shrek is amazing for that. There are so many like double entendres and other jokes.
I can't wait to rewatch that with my kids.
Oh man,
when they actually understand and can.
When Shrek came out, we were old enough to understand the adult humor, but like I can see how little kids. Well, my favorite example of this is in Shrek 2 when they find Puss in Boots' catnip.
Oh yeah, and it looks like weed.
It's not weed. It looks like cocaine. He's like, that's not mine.
That's not mine. Puss in Boots was funny.
Oh God, so funny. So funny.
Well, we don't have any more comments.
But yeah, so in closing, don't let them pander to you. Like, just watch with a discerning eye. Not to say Disney does a lot of things right, but representation here lately has just been a lot of. It's not enough. Like, if they say they want to positively change society and be more inclusive, that's great. Do it. That's all I ask. That's
it's not that hard.
Well, and not only that, like, you gave yourself the challenge, so do it.
Just like Bruce Almighty, be the change. That was a good movie.
Thank you, Gandhi.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome. It's lapsed into the Irish there a little bit, did we?
I guess I'm going to have a drink now.
You're going to have a drink, boyo? Let's do that and get into some election fraud.
Oh, dear God. We don't get off this fucking thing for days.
I'm Inora.
Nora, that's my dog.
They're after me Lucky Charms.
Stopping point, or you want to keep going?
Fuck it. That's a good enough stopping point.
Right. Well, Jake has to go to the gym.
I do have to go to the gym, even though I really don't want to.
I should be going to the gym, but I have a neck injury, and it's not been very nice lately. It's getting worse.
Yeah, it's funny. I
really don't want to have to go
I would like jokingly make fun of you, but I'm not even going to do that because that's not even.
Yeah, I know. You're trying to, do the Marilyn Manson thing. Got to get rid of those pesky ribs.
Okay, so I have to tell this story. Speaking of the Marilyn Manson thing. So, this is a great story. This is 100% true. So, when I used to work at Walmart, and when I worked there, I worked with, not in the same department, but I worked like right next to my roommate at the time. There was this guy, and I forget his name, but he went to Shelbyville, and he was a total douche. Like, he was just an asshole. And like, he was one of the jockey kids. He was still in high school, or I think he just graduated, but he had been one of the like jockey kids. So he would do this thing periodically where like we'd be hanging out in the break room talking about something, and then he would come up and just like insert himself into the conversation, which it was like whatever, like, but we were what were we talking about? I think Joe was like talking about a girl he had just met, and it was not sexual. He was just like, like, oh yeah, she was really cool, like we did this, we saw this movie, blah 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 blah. And then somebody made a joke like when he was gonna like get to second base or something, like, but it was so like it was obviously a joke. So then this kid fucking plops down completely uninvited and then like starts talking about it, and then somehow some way somebody got on the subject of blowjobs.
Oh my gosh.
So but anyway, so this fucking guy out of nowhere is just like, man, all I know is that if we could do it ourselves, nobody'd ever have a girlfriend.
Oh my god.
I know, but like that's not the funny part. And we all just kind of look at like we're like, oh yeah, no, that's not true at all.
No.
Like no.
That defeats the purpose of
like it is much more fun. It is much more fun to have somebody else do it for you. But then like he chimes in with this bit. He's like, man, I just wish I could reach it. You all know you've tried it. And then we just kind of look at him like,
it's like the cool guy is now the weirdo.
It's like, no, we haven't. He's like, I can't be the only one. We're like, yeah.
Why would you try that?
I don't like it. What? I don't even understand how that like. So you're just sitting there when you're just like,
I'm gonna try to fold my legs back over my head. What the fuck?
Maybe you had to be there, but it was just like one of the most uncomfortable. Like, you're like, okay, it's been real. Like, thank God break's over, because we're gonna get the fuck out of here.
Real and fun, but not real fun.
Yeah, that was really fucking progressive.
Just fucking butcher that joke. Oh, yeah, that was really progressive.
That was really progressive.
Alrighty, well, to you three people, like, share, sub,
goodbye, good night.
Like, share, subscribe.
And hit that notification bell so you get notified.
We love you.
Oh, and I do want to... I keep stopping the ending, but
you're good.
We talked about this before the podcast, but I'm going to plant the seed of suspense. Did we get somebody saying something?
Yo, what up, Jason?
Jason, is he
now
new?
Everybody's getting on. It's my buddy Jason.
Oh, okay.
He said, "Yo, yo, dog." He's a
bye.
He loves the '90s.
The '90s were a great time, though.
He loves '90s rap.
It was wholesome.
I like '90s rap too, but he really loves it.
Like
Tupac.
Oh, I was gonna say
he's a huge fan of Tupac. No, he might like Crisscross, but he loves Tupac, which I like Tupac too. But
my only beef with it's not a beef with Tupac. It's how he was thought of. Is like, I just wish people understood. Tupac went to art school, guys.
I know.
Yeah. So
art school or
he flat out went to art school.
Yeah.
And he knew what he was doing. Like, he created a persona that resonated with the time and the area. Like, he knew what he was doing. Not hating on Tupac, by the way.
No, not at all.
Of course, there's people coming on now.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, well. So, but I do want to end with this. So we talked about this before the podcast, but I'm probably not going to announce anything about you-know-what until after the first of the year, but there's some interesting developments coming.
More to be announced.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep. Oh, really? Another one?
No, just 4.
Oh, I see 5.
That's good. Well, yeah, maybe. Hell, I don't know. Why does that one say 4 and that one says 5?
I don't know.
YouTube people, it's crazy. We try to be entertaining, and and we get 3 to 4 viewers. The algorithm is a bitch. So the algorithm would appreciate a like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, just like Mr. Jacus Marcus Aurelius over here.
Thank you.
I know, you like that.
I appreciate that reference.
Goodbye.